Let's call meeting in order. Pledge of allegiance.
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next one we have presentation. Oh, sorry. A roll call.
Commissioner Caldwell,
Present.
Commissioner Guerrero,
She asked for an excused absence.
thank you. Commissioner Cabo,
Here.
Vice Chair Villaluna,
Present.
Chair Shaw.
Presence. We got a presentation. So we have presentation, the plaque for our match, the chair, outgoing. So he serves on September 2021 to September 22 in appreciation for an outstanding year of leadership as chair of the City of Cerritos Fine Arts and Historical Commission. Here you go, Matt. Maybe all commissioner can join the for picture.
I'd move this, but been suffering from some sinus issues.
Matt, you want to say a few words?
Thank you. I had removed my mask, but I've been suffering from some sinus issues of late, so that's why it's on. So here.
Thank you. So we have any staff presentation, any?
You need to call for public comments, sir.
Okay. So I'm open the floor for public comments. Any speaker? None, so we closing public comments. Thank you. So now we gotta go next is approval of minutes.
We need a motion and a second.
I'll make the motion to approve.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Opposed? It carried.
So next, review and consideration of public art piece, Cerritos Cow.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the Fine Arts and Historical Commission. At this time, I would like to present to you several concepts that have been prepared for a public art piece that the City Council has requested our study of, and it is of the Cerritos cow. At the City Council meeting of August 10th, 2023, the City Council directed that the Fine Arts and Historical Commission give consideration to a statue to memorialize the city's agricultural history. As you may recall, at the last meeting, the Commission also expressed an interest in paying tribute to our history. As we are all aware, the city of Cerritos began as Dairy Valley. In the late 1800s, small local dairies came to this general area to supply milk for fresh dairy products for the community. Portuguese immigrants settled in the area to provide the skills and expertise to build the dairy industry in Cerritos and Artesia. From those years to the present day, the city of Cerritos has moved from a successful dairy industry to the dynamic city it is today. However humble our beginnings, it is appropriate to memorialize and pay tribute to our origins. To begin the process, staff made preliminary contact with the National Sculptors Guild to search for life-sized sculptures of cows that may serve as examples and guidelines for what the Commission may deem appropriate to represent our history. It is generally known that the dairy cows that served the industry were large black and white Holstein cows that were approximately 1,500 pounds in weight. The Holstein is an international breed of cows that originated from the Dutch provinces of North Holland and in also northern Germany. These are some historical photos from our archives of the cows that were in the community at the time. Next slide. This is in their pens. And this next is a historical photo of the city council at the time and the supervisor of the area presenting a calf to the city. We also have an example here, if we can present this, Bill, the cow that has been in our archives for many years, and this is an example of the cow and what we envision the Cerritos cow might look like. So to begin the process, I spoke with representatives from the National Sculptor Guild in Loveland, Colorado, and two artists were very interested in submitting proposals. These are very preliminary, rough, we call them rough sketches of what they would be presenting to us. Next slide, please. The first slide segment will be a proposal by Jane D. Decker, who has done several pieces of artwork in the community. Next slide, please. This is her proposal. Her style of artwork is representational and shows realistic figures. However, she uses a very loose type of sculpture, so hers is more fluid and stylistic. Next slide, please. In her proposal, she has submitted some rough estimates of the cost of the of her art pieces, and it is in the neighborhood of over $200,000. Next slide, please. This should be very familiar to us. This is in our sculpture garden, and this is the Elements Fountain, which represents four ladies of nature, earth, wind, fire, and water. Next slide, please. And these are more examples of her artwork. You can see that she sculpts in bronze. She uses a lot of children and family as her subject matter. And a lot of the themes that she uses are like children's activities in everyday life. She does sculpt in a representational style that is looser and more fluid than some of the other artists. Next slide, please. And these are more examples of her artwork of children and next slide, animals, next slide, and everyday life. This is a mother and child and a mother and father with a child in the middle swinging. Next slide, please. Again, children and animals. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide. Yes, and next slide. The second artist that is being presented is also from the National Sculptors Guild, and his name is Daniel Glantz. This is the first time Daniel Glantz has submitted anything to the city for review. He's a new artist to the National Sculptors Guild. He is, this is his proposal of a cow and a child milking the cow. And you can see in comparison to the Jane D. Decker piece that this is more of a detailed and realistic form of artwork. Next slide. Next slide. Next. 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 And his proposal is a little bit more than Jane D. Decker's piece, is in the neighborhood of like 265. And his artwork will probably, the reason why his is more is the amount of detail, as well as adding another figure to the art piece. And the examples I'm showing you are very conceptual. Any changes that the commission would like to suggest, like more figures or less figures, you know, a child or an adult, those, since we're at a very preliminary stage, those can be made part of the consideration of the artwork. Next slide, please. These are examples of some of the things he's done, and you can see from the style of the artwork that it's a tighter and more controlled sculpting. Next slide. This is what he's been known for is large wildlife type animals. Next slide. And then also he does do figurative human figures and domestic animals also. Next slide. Next. 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 I think that's, and that is the last one in this group. So with the examples of different concepts and ideas, the Fine Arts and Historical Commission at this time can review and comment on what is important, what you feel is important to the public art piece to convey a tribute to the city of Cerritos and the role of the dairy industry in this community. Should the commission determine that additional examples of the cow sculptures are needed, staff can continue to seek out additional artists for consideration for the next meeting. The Fine Arts Commission also can recommend to the City Council the method by which the artwork should be selected. In accordance with the Cerritos Municipal Code relating to the selection of artworks, it states that the city can have an open competition to seek the artist, a limited competition, invitation, just by inviting certain artists to participate. We can directly purchase something or seek a donation of the artwork or any combination of any of these. So with this, staff recommends that the commission review the art pieces and make comment as to what you feel is appropriate. You can at this time recommend the artist and the artwork and continue to seek other artists to review at the next meeting, and also determine the method of selection of artwork. With this, next slide, please. I also have several examples of other types of artwork that that are available to the commission to review and comment on. This is an example of a different form of artwork. It's more stylistic. It's a little more contemporary and abstract. And this is by an artist named Carol Gold, who has an art piece in the city of Cerritos. And her cow, next slide please, is actually this cow is already installed in the city of Bellflower, representing their dairy history. This is not something that we would consider at this time because this cow is so close to the city of Cerritos. It'd be too close. Typically, we would not install an art piece any closer than 90 or 100 miles from our borders. Next slide, please. This is a picture capturing a cow in a relaxing or recumbent type position. Next slide. And this is something that just captured kind of a nice moment of a cow and a little girl guiding the cow through the pasture. And this is not available also. It's just an example of what can be done. This is actually a copyrighted art piece that is the trademark for the Bluebell Creameries in, I think they're located in Texas. Next slide. So I wanted to bring your attention also to the 50th anniversary mosaic art piece by Terry Bronstein. And this is installed at the Civic Center. It's in front of the library. This is something that was approved in 2006. And it was a very customized piece for the community. And it's something that the commission worked with the artists on for quite a few months to dictate what was to be included in the history of Cerritos in our first 50 years. Next slide, please. So each of the pages depicts different values of the city of Cerritos at that time. And the artwork was a fabrication of artwork both in Germany and was brought back to the States. A lot of the workmanship was glass tiles and mosaics that were put together in Germany and then brought back here for the final fabrication. Next slide, please. So this shows Dairy Valley and the first cows. And this is part of what the commission at that time thought was very important, and they labeled this page the heritage page. Next slide. And then this was just kind of a synopsis of the first 50 years. At that time, the commission wanted something that, an art piece that was interactive. So the book itself fans out in different pages. People walk through the pages. They can peek through the windows and walk through the doors, the passages. Now, this one is labeled education. That was an important value at that time. The commission studied this. Next slide, please. And then this is economic security, which shows the beginnings of Dairy Valley, the economic prosperity through our retail segment and the auto mall, and then also shows a picture of City Hall. And these photos were taken from the archives in our history books at that time. This shows the diversity of the community. Next slide. And how important the environment was, to protect the environment at that time. Next slide. And the cultural aspect, showing the theater and the artwork and some of the scenes from the theater. Next slide. And I believe that's the last page. So with that, I would conclude this staff report and accept any comments that the commission may have on what is important to the commission and how you envision this art piece to be.
Kathy, if I may, I think or maybe it's just my packet, but I think the cost of the examples is swapped, maybe. I just want to have the right numbers referring to the right artist and project. Let's see. Do you find the same thing? Yeah, okay.
I would say are consistent with, the numbers are consistent with what the city has been, paying for the art pieces. These are like first-time sculpted art pieces. They're not limited editions. They're going to be created from the bottom up. If you compare it to the public safety art pieces, where that whole, at that time it was bid out at probably at about close to $500,000 for those art pieces. So with the cost of bronze and the cost of labor and materials, I feel it's fairly consistent. And typically, the artists from the National Sculptors Guild have been reasonable. Some of the other sculptures we have purchased recently are limited editions. There's been a mold made of them. So once the mold is made, they typically create maybe a limited edition of maybe 10 or 20 pieces of artwork from that same mold. These, when we order these, they will be one of a kind.
Thank you. Thank you for that. I was going to ask that also, but I mean to say, so for example, Jane DeDecker, I think we said hers was just a little over 200,000, but I think hers is the one that's almost
Oh, I'm
265.
sorry. Hers is like 265, I'm sorry.
Okay, no, that's okay.
And then the milking cow you said was 260 something and it's 204.
I think I got my numbers. I'm sorry. Yeah, I didn't have my glasses on and I,
That's pretty good.
so I think Jane D. Deckers, because she has a couple of figures, the extra figures, That's why her estimate is higher.
Okay, so
And
this is
all of-
correct.
If the commission just desired a cow without any other figures, that would bring the price down also. Or if you wanted a large cow and a baby calf, you know, the concepts that are created are based, the costs are based on the figures and the time and
Material.
the the bronze work in the future.
Okay, so I think what we have estimated cost for the two artists that we have, these are correct then, I think.
Yes, I'm sorry,
Okay,
yes.
okay. Perfect.
Yeah, and those are for the examples given to us, not whatever we decide. That will change the price
Yes,
based off of what
Yes,
we.
I mean, based on this at monumental scale, I mean, there are going to be a full-size cow and full-sized children, and the man would be full-sized.
Okay. You also mentioned, Kathy, the different styles, Jane DeDecker versus Daniel Glantz. And this concept of Jane DeDecker's with the cow and a farmer and a little girl and a cat.
Right.
It's very rough, but this is a concept, right? I mean,
Yes, this is a concept.
the finish would look more like what her other sculptures like. So
Yes.
a lot more detail.
It will be more detailed, but if you look at her style of artwork, it's considered a looser
Okay.
style of sculpting, rather than Daniel Glantz is more precise,
I
more
understand.
representational.
Okay.
And that's, you know, that's a style that, you know, the commission would have to decide on which direction they would want to go.
Mm-hmm.
But I have not seen Jane D. Decker's artwork to be more tight like the Daniel Glantz pieces.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just their style, and they usually stick with it.
Sure, sure. Okay. I like just for these two proposals, I like Jane DeDecker's concept where it's like a multi-generational. You've got the farmer and a little girl. I like that concept of bringing that all together, more like a family type of thing. And I personally prefer her style, but I think it probably would be wise maybe to look at other options. Although I still like the idea of having a one-of-a-kind piece rather than getting something that's already done, you know, so.
If staff were to look for existing cows that have been done before, it would be in a more reasonable price range,
Sure.
but you might not get the feel and the character that you want.
Mm-hmm.
So this way you can direct the artist as to the message that you want to convey and create the scene. And then once this is done, then we would kind of create the landscape to complement this, and maybe create the scenery. You know, maybe do we put a picket fence around it? You know, that kind of thing. So this is the primary part of it, and then the aesthetics around it will follow.
First of all, I'm more of the realistic school of sculpture, the Daniel Glantz and whatnot. as far as the direction we go. But also, I like the idea that you brought up of a mama cow with her baby or babies, baby calves, as an alternative to what has been given to us.
At this stage, we can dictate anything.
So, what kind of budget we're talking on?
Well, in the trust fund, I checked the approximate balance in the Arts and Public Places Trust Fund, and we have approximately $500,000 in the trust fund. We need to continue to allocate money for maintenance and some other issues for that we need to budget for the rest of the year. So I think if we stay under the $300,000 range or about that for the art piece, because there's going to be cost for installation and the foundation on top of this. So I would say that might be, depending on the site that's selected. We don't have a site yet that we've determined would be the place for the cow. And if it's, a flat area, that will be much more a reasonable installation process, both in terms of setting it and creating how deep the foundation goes. So that is the other thing we have to consider. But if we can stay under 300,000 for the art piece, I think it'll be manageable in the current budget.
So that's what my question was. These 4 items is not included, whatever the code are, right? Like base footing, transit, installation, and travel. That could be a lot of money. They didn't give any estimate, roughly, I mean, ballpark or anything, because this is totally, like, I would say, vague. We don't know how much we are paying labor, all the stuff.
Yeah.
It could be more than 300. I don't know.
I would estimate that the other things to anticipate would be maybe about $100,000. There's a lot of unknown factors, like in transporting the art out here, with the cost of fuel rising and the cost of labor to truck it out. The base and the footing depends on the location of the site and what has to be done to grade it and create the foundation.
So we're probably talking tens of thousands of dollars, or maybe.
I'm thinking about 100.
Oh, close to 100.
Yes, on top of the 260.
So probably travel and art transit would run us less than 50, and the rest would be over 50, right?
I think she's total talking all 4 items, 100.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As far as
So
other
this would be
anticipated
like
items.
100 over the 264. So we'd be talking about.
So the 4 items combined would be 100, but travel and art transit would probably be the smaller of the 4 costs, right? Or I'm just thinking it from transit of other goods.
Well,
That the installation and the basin and footing possibly are the most expensive parts that would be added.
I'm just trying to reflect back on the cost of the recent installation of the Strength of the Maker. That was on a mound that had to be graded. That was probably about with the foundation, maybe about a $20,000, just the foundation and installation. Then we had landscaping. The shipping was probably about $10,000 at that point. So this being probably a bigger piece and more pieces, more footings. If you have multiple pieces, they all have like their separate footings and foundations. So I'm thinking that's about the cost. And it changes because of the cost of materials and labor in the future.
So when was it that?
Pardon?
When was you talking that amount? Which year was that?
That we did the last install.
Yeah.
Well, Strength of the Maker was just done a couple months ago, so that's fairly recent. But as we see the cost of fuel rising every day, and this is going to have to be trucked from Loveland to California. So the only thing
Yeah,
that's
and we don't know what's going to happen with fuel prices, which may be dependent upon the next election.
yes, don't know that, and actually you don't know the cost of labor. The trucking, the trucking industry, there's a shortage of truckers, driving things out. So that's to be anticipated too. So this part does have some more unknowns. I believe that the cost of the sculptures, the artists probably have a pretty good feel on the cost of bronze. That's the most important metal, and it's in large quantities. For instance, when we entered into the contract for the public safety pieces, we bought the bronze when we executed the contract, the artist group, knowing that it was probably going to go up. And since that time, it has gone up significantly. So we've saved money in that regards. We kind of hedged our bet on that one. But the cost of bronze has gone up a lot.
Okay, so definitely we're in preliminary stages. So in choosing, when we decide, we have to consider the shipping, those
Yes.
things. So we'll consider that.
I can get maybe a little bit better feel for the added costs, maybe from the artist representative as to maybe transit costs and maybe the base and the footing, and there'll be some engineering costs involved for seismic safety and the weight loads and stuff like that. So there's engineering costs.
Okay,
So I can get as we move along.
correct. As we move further into it, I would like the piece to be a piece that the residents and the visitors of the city can get close to. I would like it to be something that we can take pictures with, that we can rather get close to, that the young people, the kids can get close to it.
Have you decided which place? Anything?
We have not. It's somewhere on Civic Center, in Civic Center. Possibly the Sculpture Garden, but the Sculpture Garden's getting kind of full. We just have to find the exact location. I think close to the council chambers, because it's maybe between the council chambers and the library, because the council chambers is the seat of government. it is where we make history. So I think that that's a good location. Also, a good location is maybe out in front, sort of in the grassy areas in front where it's prominently seen. The other thing is we might want to consider, do you want to have a black and white Holstein? Because there's a lot of sculptors that don't like to have painted pieces. They like to keep it in the natural bronze. So that's something that the commission would have to maybe opine on.
Well, and also, the council will get the final say on this
Yes.
either way,
Th-
so.
This would be a recommendation to the city council. And of course, the council can also make their recommendations and to see how they want it changed or how they want it reflected. So as a recommending body, you know, council has put the trust in you to make those decisions for them to consider.
Well, seeing as Commissioner Caldwell and myself disagree on the artist's style and whatnot, I suggest we take Commissioner Caldwell's recommendation to open it up to bids. But I also would like to add that we take your suggestion that we have a cow and a mother cow and her calf, or a mother cow and her two calves. So, as a recommendation to the city council on this matter.
It's up to the commission to opine on what type of figures you want. If you want a cow and a calf and a child, there's all kinds of combinations.
I'm making the motion that we have a cow and a calf, or a cow and two calves.
A cow and two calves? Or
Either a cow and a calf, or a cow and two calves.
In regards to cost, I like again, back to Jane DeDecker's concept. If it's a question of cost, so you have the farmer, a little girl, and a cat. I like sort of the lighthearted humor in the cat just trying to get some free milk. That's kind of, it's cute. But like if it was a question of cost, like that we've got too many figures and it's making everything more expensive, so maybe the little girl goes away and it's just the farmer and the cat with this cow or something like that. I mean, but it just seems like if you have just a cow and some calves, what with no person, were you thinking of someone like milking?
Well, I'm thinking of, having that family focus within the cattle family, the cow, and maybe, cow and a calf, or a cow and two calves.
Mm-hmm.
Heck, throw in a bull. But seriously, as far as, when it comes to costs, a cow and two calves, or a cow and a calf, and maybe a cow and a calf would keep it under 300 total.
Okay. And I don't know a lot about sculptures, but is bronze the only material or the best material?
Yes.
It is. Okay.
Yes.
Matt, excuse me. What was your motion?
Motion to forward to the council a recommendation of having a cow and a calf as the as the sculpture, which is not something that we see in here. And furthermore, to put it out to bid.
And that would mean that
That would mean
the idea,
other sculptors could weigh in on this as well.
forgive me, do we have to do a motion to to just further the research?
I think at this point, if the commission, you can decide on a basic concept that you want a cow and a calf or two calves, or a cow with children, a basic concept, and then we could also open it up to other artists. You know, we can consider, I can start looking for other artists that might be interested in doing something like this. If you decide you like one of these artists that I've presented to you and have them proceed with the concept of what you decide upon, we can do it that way. So the more artists you consider, it's more time consuming, but yet it's, you know, you'll get a bigger pool of to select from.
Which sometimes can make the decision harder.
Yeah,
Yes.
and that's true too.
Yes.
If you truly like the artists, the style of artwork, like Jane D. Decker's, there's not a whole lot of artists that sculpt in that fashion that I'm aware of.
And
Daniel-
Daniel Glantz does not have a art piece in the city at all.
D. Decker does have several art pieces in the city,
But the other one,
but Daniel
Glantz.
Glantz does not.
Okay.
So
And that has been a concern in the past of artists having too many of their sculptures in the city, and which freezes out other artists.
that's, you know, up to the commission and the council to decide whether or not they would want to use the same artist again. or
Okay.
not.
So right now, you asking commissioner to recommendation or?
Oh, we have a motion on the floor.
Yeah,
So it'll die if it doesn't have a second. So if someone wants to second it,
so is there a general consensus on the type of artist? Are you thinking more the style of Jane D. Decker or more realistic like Daniel Glantz?
I like the stylistic. I mean, it makes, excuse me, it opens people's imagination to, you know, and I also like the inclusion of a person. I mean, this city and this community and the surrounding were, you know, they're here because of hard work by people. You know, it's the cow that we're trying to, but it's also this interaction between the cows and the people where we are today. So, and I think it just makes it a more interesting piece. More personal too, because we're people, and it's like, oh yeah, I used to, you know, milk cows on my father's farm, you know, whatever. And I just, it seems like it's just a little bit.
the reason where I'm coming from is I used to have cows right across Bloomfield from,
Okay.
growing up before they moved the dairy farms out of what is now the town center. But we used to go over there and we saw cows and calves, and of course the farmers were nowhere to be seen at that time of night when we'd walk over there. So we would see the cows and the calves. So that's where my memories of that time period come from.
I like it. I like the cow and the people around it too. I like that idea. I have memories too, being at Tetzlaff and during nutrition break, feeding the cows through the fence, but I could see everybody working on the farms. And I think since we're trying to do a tribute to the original people, I think we would be doing them a disservice if we didn't add a farmer, a child. Doesn't have to be a cat, but
Right.
no, I'm just kidding.
Cats are cool.
But I like that. I like, but I also don't want to miss the opportunity of not having a piece at all. I would like a cow. I understand that cost is a consideration. I'd also maybe like to ask the council, maybe knowing a location would help us determine what we could have, how much sculpture could we have. But I suppose if we know it's going to be in the civic center area and nowhere outside of it, I guess I could take a walk myself and just see how much we could have. But I do like the cow and some people with it. Can I motion?
Yes, I think I like it with the cow, with the people. That's what used to be every time with the cow, right? Not just only cow. But the location again, I think that's is we need to figure out. So highly visible also, so people know that we have something in the city like monument for the cow.
Excited.
So we have a motion on the floor?
Yeah. We have a motion on the floor.
There is no second, so it
There's no
died for
second,
lack
so
of
it
second.
dies.
No second? Okay. So is there a new motion?
I'd like to motion the sculpture to have a cow, people included, and what the council would advise.
People or person?
Or, correct, excuse me,
Okay.
correct. A person or people.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, yes, I second that.
Thank you.
Roll call vote, please?
Okay. Commissioner Caldwell,
Yes.
Commissioner Cabo,
Nay.
oh, thank you. Vice Chair Villaluna
Yay.
and Chair Shaw. The motion carries 3-1.
I would like to know the commission's direction on whether we ask one of these artists that I've presented to you to prepare a concept like this or further their concept on this, or do you want to seek other artists?
I'll make the motion to seek other artists, as well as these two, because neither one of them, they both did. Daniel submitted one with a farmer, and we'd have to see, removing the cat and the girl, how much that would be, how much that would save off of the gal's artwork. But I make the motion that we open it up.
I second that. But because of your point before, could it be contained to, I mean, does it open to anybody, or can we,
Well,
and you, because you're experienced with these sculptures?
if you want to do an open call, that's a very time exhaustive process.
So how can we limit that?
Yeah, so we could have a limited call. I can ask the National Sculptors Guild and a couple do some research on some other artists that have done wildlife and animals, and because that's the primary theme is the animals, and do more research in that area.
Okay.
So if that is, the direction, I can proceed to continue looking.
So is the motion to seek other artists via a limited call for artists?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Caldwell?
Yay.
Nay?
Yes. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm hard of hearing today. Commissioner Cobble?
Yes.
Vice Chair Villaluna?
Yay.
Chair Shaw? Carries 4-0.
Okay. Thank you. And hopefully at the next meeting, I can present a couple more artists to you for your consideration.
Review and status of program to exhibit Mark Waits.
Thank you, Chair Shaw and members of the commission. This is an update on the program that staff presented to you at the last meeting. We are proceeding to plan for the maquette show at the Cerritos Library on October 10th. I've been working with library staff, specifically Carrie, has been developing a program that that is inviting the general public, next slide, to the maquette show. These are examples of some of the maquettes that we have. This is actually, in this depiction here, are the large pieces that we do have the maquettes for. The program, we are hoping that we will have a significant number of visitors on October 7th from 11 to 2 p.m. And it has been promoted by the library through press releases, social media channels, TV3, and on the video walls in the library. It's staff's intent that prior to, about a week prior to the event, we will have more detailed promotional materials for distribution to the commission members that wish to participate in this, and for the volunteers that will be helping us. And the final copies will be distributed, and that will form the basis of the scripting for each of them. We have in the staff report attached a brief description of all of the maquettes. we're considering maybe 10 to 15 maquettes at this time. And hopefully, if the commission members wish to participate, you can go through the descriptions of the art pieces and maybe pick your favorite one that you would like to work on and describe to our patrons that visit the exhibit. So you don't have to let me know tonight. You can email me and let me know which one that you're interested in learning more about. And I can also, Carrie and I can meet with you prior to and go over some of the features of the artwork and some of the tips that she's learned from the Braille Institute and helping those that have limited sight to be able to experience in touching and feeling the maquettes as we guide them through. So I just wanted to bring you up to date on this, and we're continuing to work on this and finalize this, but within a week or so, we will have everything ready. And this is a receive and file item, just to bring you up to date.
Motion to receive and file.
Second.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Good job, Carrie.
Last thing is a report from the Fine Arts Historical Commission. You can start from Colwell.
I beg your pardon?
Anything to be report?
I do not. Thank you.
Nothing.
Just question as far as the motion that we passed with regards to the presentation I did 2 months ago on the Virtual History Museum. Commissioner, Vice Chair Luna and myself thought of some other potential funding sources as well as staffing sources, volunteer staffing, as well as going out with either a patron of the Virtual History Museum program or a member supported program as well, if we cannot find the funding through grants and other methods. And also, what is the status on that?
It was staff's intent to bring this a report back to the commission at the next meeting. I wanted to also include some of the updates that the library is doing, and we'll make that presentation to the commission next month. Our next meeting in 2 months.
In November.
In November. So we will have a staff report and that the commission can fully discuss and perhaps make a recommendation to.
Commissioner CJ, you have any?
No, thank you.
Yes, I don't have anything. So thank you. So
Meeting
meeting is adjourned.